I'm currently stuck. Stuck's the wrong word. I'm currently engaged with this concept of um, spotting the invisible assumptions that we all make as we move through our lives. The preconditions for our existence and for our preferences and our choices that we may not be aware of. And in this context, it's visible in um, the tempo of your favorite song. Of course, it will vary from person to person, depending on their favorite type of music. But imagine your favorite song, but slowed down. There's a tempo, a speed that we all like to move at. And it isn't all the same for everyone, but there's a general range. And you all can tell that this would be too fast for Stairway to Heaven. And she's crying the stairway to heaven. Right? She's climbing the stair. This is why Weird Al is funny. When Weird Al covers Stairway to Heaven as a polka, he plays it really, really fast, and it's funny. Um, it's not the only reason he's funny, but that's one of the main reasons. Um, and part of that knowing what the right tempo for the song is deeply connected to things like the dance forms of the culture that the song was written from within. You know, if you're a soul song, Marvin Gaye, if you play that too slow, it's not fun to dance to. You can't groove to it. You can't feel that backbeat, that 2 and 4 that we all like so much in terms of like identifying with a groove in a song, because it moves so slowly that our training on when to expect it, um, and our training in what feels right, doesn't apply when it's too slow. And I think that part of that reason is because of sort of the natural resonant frequency of human movement. You know, like my body has a way of moving that this time it takes for this action to propagate out, go from here to here, is dependent upon the lengths of the levers involved. The length from here to here, the length from here to here, the length from here to here. And so in an action like throwing a ball, right, there's a speed at which you're going to throw a ball most effectively. The act of dancing, the act of walking, there's some paces that are too fast because it requires too much effort, because your natural walking pace is based ideally upon what's the most efficient. And moving too fast or too slow means that you can't use the momentum that you get from stepping forward and breaking that into that next step. And that momentum comes at a speed. The energy that you recover, or that you save in by just giving little gooses to that forward momentum, little pushes to it, step to step, that energy has a speed with which it's compatible with in terms of working with. If you push too soon, you don't get the speed. If you push too late, you don't get the benefit of the inertia. I think songs are like that. Tempo is like that. Almost everything is like that. And that's just one example of what I'm talking about, this overall concept that these things that are true in our world, average tempo of the popular song, average length of the popular song, um, you know, why steering wheels are the sizes that they are, why a 4x8 sheet of plywood is 4x8, even though it's not really 4 feet, not really 8 feet. All of these things are rooted in the physicality of being human, in how fast we move generally, how strong we are generally, where we tend to be the proportion of the spaces that we tend to find most comfortable to inhabit. And all of this have to do with our physicality, which our physicality and our specific size, is very well tuned to the gravity field in which we live, to the energy we get from the sun, along with our chemistry, and everything is balanced in such a way that it is results in these things that seem invisible, that are invisible to most people. No one really, not many people at least, move through their day-to-day life noticing that of all the possible sizes, most humans are of a specific size. Um, and that's the reason why the elevator doors are as wide as they are. Give or take a few inches based upon whatever safety codes are there, or construction codes, things like that. All of this is this context. Sorry, this particular set of obsessive thoughts happens within an even larger context of recognizing that my understanding of the world that I inhabit is entirely rooted in what it is to be me, my limitations, my size, the speed with which my brain works, the way that my brain lays down memories or lack thereof, or how tall I am, or any number of things. And so to really ever think that my shut up, to really ever assume or think or try to assert that any particular thing that I believe about the world is an objective truth is madness. The most any of us are ever going to be able to say in terms of not say. Let me back that up. We're never going to know, not with any certainty. Certainty is seductive, and pause. I was just talking about certainty being seductive, and I'm recording this on my phone. The selfie's flipped over, selfie mode, which I won't get into how. What's the damn word? The myth with Athena, where the person couldn't stop staring at themselves in the water, and we name it after them. See, this tip on the tip of the tongue phenomenon is a really, really amazing mystery. I'm not going to get into it. Anyway, as I was talking about that seduction of certainty, I got a text message on my phone from a very old friend of mine, and in which she expressed how good it was to see me recently and how she appreciates me and that I'm an awesome person. For a person of my particular makeup, with my particular history, that message would have rung so much differently to me 20 years ago than it does today. 20 years ago, I don't know how I would have taken it, honestly, but it wouldn't have been as well as I take it now. I take it now as a honest expression of how this person feels about me, and it feels wonderful and amazing to be told that. I'm going to pause again. So, certainty. Why no one can be certain. I think I just laid that out in a very painful and tortuous way. Basically, all we ever have is our subjective experience. And I'm definitely not the first person to talk about that. And I'm probably not the first person to say this, but I feel like that we neglect that primacy, right? We all of us collectively have decided that what we're really looking for is an objective truth. That we're looking for some way, and math is probably the best way we have of doing it, but we're all looking for some way to find the truth, independent of our objectivity. And I don't think that truth actually helps us. Anyway, more on this later. So that primacy of the oh shit, or the subjective, um, which is interesting because from the subjective viewpoint, our viewpoint is objective, right? And um, what's funny is that, like, well, that's just your opinion, right? As a criticism, or you're obviously unaware of the work of Schopenhauer, or you seem to have read Wittgenstein, or whatever. Like that, all of that kind of criticism, and all of that sort of that style of reaction to what a person is saying um, is very much not really communicating in terms of the way I mean communicate. I mean, it communicates something. You know, it communicates, um, well, you know, your opinions are derivative, or it communicates, well, you don't know as much as me, or it communicates, well, I am the authority in this relationship, or it communicates, I don't want to hear anything you have to say because I already know everything, and um, it's that's part of the mechanism of culture, and that mechanism, the the messages we share with one another, um, and the words we say and the behaviors we have in our interactions, we feel like they are for us, um, and in a lot of ways they are. But I feel like, in my opinion, they're less for us and more, like I said before, the mechanism by which culture self perpetuates, and a cultural hierarchy of knowledge. Well, the culture thinks that right now, quantum mechanics is the way to go, and increasingly it seems that, say, M theory was a waste of time, right? Um, and that's part of the cultural collective, and people that think about physics and move in those realms will talk in those terms, and like their interactions with one another are, if they're not careful, their interactions with one another can be totally dominated by whatever the zeitgeist is at the time, and individual relationships are that way outside of fields of study, and we're so careful or unconsciously careful to vet the transmitter of the information. You know, um, the idea of virtue signaling. If I wear the right hat, or say the right phrases, um, then that's like a protein coat on a cell, and they interact and they lock together. But if I come, you know, wearing a red hat and a Black Lives Matter T-shirt, no one's going to know how to interact with me. Um, and to me, that's part of what makes it obvious that we are merely components of this of these. It's merely components. That's the wrong way of saying it. Like we are this bridge between matter and consciousness, and we're not the only bridge, right? We're actually a place on the bridge. Yet, due to our consciousness, and I'm sure that everything that's conscious is like this, due to our consciousness and the fact that we only can know what we directly experience, we feel like that us and others that look like us are the pinnacle. You um, when we don't understand, I don't think that we understand that we are components of a collective as well. And for me, um, I've never fit comfortably into the collective, and I feel like that many people identify with that, and I'm not trying to claim that I'm somehow special in that, or that I'm somehow unique. Um, well, Dave, what does this have to do with what you were saying earlier about tempo? Yeah. Our world, the state of our world, these cultures working together or against one another, um, in some esoteric traditions, like um, these are egregores. Like Britain has an egregore, and World War II, and that egregore looks like an eagle or whatever, and or a lion, and they talk about this stuff in their traditions, and that esoteric idea, occult idea that there are these thought forms that are made of the actions of a bunch of individuals is a very useful way of looking at the world, and it's not just a way of looking at the world in terms of understanding why China does what China does, or why Russia does what Russia does, you know, um, or why the U.S. does what the U.S. does, but it also can help us understand how culture works in terms of our day-to-day interactions. And if I understand that, if I go out and about, um, and go to a party, say, that party is going to have its own zeitgeist, and it's going to be determined largely by the sort of cultural ideology of the people that are at that party. And a lot of that party is going to be a lot of energy at that party is going to be concerned with maintaining that zeitgeist, with saying things that maintain the zeitgeist, with repeating certain phrases, with lots of agreeing. I think in Cryptonomicon, one of the characters called it a consensus cluster. When he was noticing something similar, um, and um, historically, I haven't done well in those situations. I come in and I drop the big stink bomb in the middle of the otherwise civil discussions. I will say something that it's the metaphorical drag the record needle across the record moment. Like, that's me. That's if I am in any pantheon, I may be the modern American god of bringing a party to a halt, which I kind of enjoy, but I have to be careful about. Um, I guess the point of that is that our objective, our ideas of what objective truth is, um, are so far from what we think we're saying, um, that it's kind of pointless to call it truth in one sense. I mean, I'm interested, personally, I'm very interested in understanding the nature of existence. Um, I'm at this point now where I feel like the nature of existence is probably best understood through studying the nature of my experience, um, because that's the only thing I really have direct access to. And um, I take all kinds of wisdom from all kinds of places about how to do that. Right now, mindfulness meditation is part of that, um, and paying very close attention to the um, atoms of experience. The actual raw sensations that make up an itch, or that make up hunger, or that make up anger. And really pulling it apart and really trying to see deeply into um, the nothingness that is there by all accounts, or by many accounts. Um, that's been very fruitful. Um, there's more to say on that, obviously. Anyway, it's 5:13. I just got home from work. I'm trying to make sure that I record something every day, um, because I am going to eventually be putting these things up on YouTube. Um, and I'm trying to practice and get better at it, and learn to be more comfortable in front of the camera, and learn to stay on topic, and learn to be able to sort of extemporaneously um, create a narrative, or tell a story, or make a point, and wrap it up into a neat package. And I don't think I've wrapped it up into a neat package today. Um, Other than maybe the neat package is to point out that um, there's a reason why songs are a specific tempo. Um, there's a reason why doors are as tall as they are. And those reasons are obvious when you think about them. And I think that there's something similarly true about the structure of culture, and the structure of organizations, and the structure of a discipline, in terms of like thinking about, like the structure of the discipline of psychology will be structured the way it is because it's made of humans, in the same way that doors are as tall as they are because they're made for humans. And I think that's useful to realize. And I guess that's the point.